Hey there, everybody. We're going to cover a topic really quickly. I'm going to be a little quiet because I am at a public location over at Starbucks today, which is one of my usual work spots. But I wanted to do a very quick kind of workshop for you to talk about LARP workshops, live action role-playing workshops, what they should include, and what makes them more inclusive, and where you can go for some like advanced information. So one of the reasons I do one-on-one mentorship with Larp Mentor is because I think there are some basics that I can just kind of write into a sheet and hand to you. And then there are other things you need to do to personalize every element of your experience and or game to the players, to the genre, to the setting, to be true to that and to make that experience hopefully as inclusive as possible, not just in terms of diversity and being able to include people from different backgrounds and levels of accessibility, but also to really look at people one-on-one and include them there. And that one-on-one connection is something that I think we're losing a little bit as the live action role-playing world gets a little bit bigger. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to make sure I share this video onto my personal page so that more people actually see it. So just bear with me a second while I do that. And then we're going to get into talking more about the details of these particular workshops. So let me just share that here for a second, and then we will go over there and get rolling. Okay. And if you have any questions in the meantime, go ahead and just post them for me, and we're going to get into that in just a second. Cool. Okay, so I've gone ahead and shared that. So the first thing, so what do workshops cover in live action role-playing games? And that's a thing that really varies depending upon what kind of LARP you're doing, how long it is, the themes that cover. And this is, again, why we like to get into a lot of this one-on-one stuff. But broadly, those should cover any kind of rules, any kind of limitations that you have, any kind of reminders to be especially inclusive about making certain physical play spaces accessible. For example, there's like the open circle thing, right? So if you are in a circle talking to other people in or out of game, and somebody else approaches, open up the circle, widen it for them, so it encourages them to join in. So stuff like that is really important. The big thing that every workshop, no matter what, before any LARP should cover, is safety. And there are two types of safety. There's your physical safety stuff, and there's your emotional safety. Physical safety is going to include all sorts of things about whatever venue you're LARPing in. For example, I have a LARP coach, she's got a gun. There are some conventions that do not let you use prop guns, even like water guns. So things like that are good to know, like how would you represent a weapon in that environment. Stuff like that is really important. Things you can and cannot say. I've done a convention game as a participant where somebody also talked about bombs, right? And you can't just like walk around a hotel talking about that kind of topic. Security got involved. They understood what it was, but as a general rule, like you can't really do that kind of stuff. So things like that are really important to cover: the setting, the surroundings, stuff like that, your real life setting. And then on top of that, you want to talk about your physical safety. So a lot of LARPs run on campsites, right? Especially here in the US. So there are some physical dangers there. You've got wildlife to contend with. You might have other campers, people who will ask you questions, things like that. You got to go over that. On top of it, there could be hazards. Are you LARPing on the side of a mountain? I've done that before. One of my friends actually broke an ankle that way. So you have to talk about those safety concerns, those physical safety concerns. If your game has combat or fighting, you have to talk about that. And then as we get into talking about emotional safety, we're also going to talk about consent and permission. Can you physically touch another person? Some LARPs involve like healing by touch or different game mechanics that let you touch here on this area, like on your shoulder, or similar things. So if that's something that you have to opt into to play the game, that should not only be clear in your gaming materials, but that should also be clear in your workshopping and practicing that if possible. And if people aren't comfortable, allow them to always opt out. That includes if they've already signed up for the game and they're ready to play, and you're like, cool, this is the mechanic we use, and they're not comfortable with it, they should still be able to leave. You're not allowed to like trap them there, right? So those things are important. And then that brings us to the consent and emotional safety component of this. How does your LARP handle asking another person to say or do something or to engage in a certain type of role play? We talk about antagonism and romance a lot when we talk about asking permission to say or do things or to initiate certain types of role play. But really it can be a variety of things, including topics, subject matter. What content does this include? If your LARP has kind of a sandbox thing, you don't know what players are going to do. People could bring up any topic in the world, right? So you kind of need to include what's okay and not okay. So those are big emotional safety things. Any kind of signals or alerts or things that could happen. We do like the okay check-in, the look down a lot. Anybody who plays New World Magic School has encountered those things before, among other safety symbols. Those are important to go over. Any kind of indications that you want more or less, or red light, green light about the kind of content that's happening in front of you. You got to go over that in your safety workshops. So this is a really brief, basic, high-level overview of things that pretty much every LARP should include. Even if you're running a convention game or it's a parlor game, these things are no different, right? Like, people get involved very heavily even in just a 4-hour game. And for me, one of the successes of writing a 4-hour game is something that's really immersive or really fun, and people really get into it. You're really engaging. It has a high level of engagement. You can play a 20-minute LARP that has a high level of engagement. You can write one. So be mindful of that and make sure that you give those kinds of workshops. And it's okay if your workshop for a short game is almost as long as the game. I've seen that happen too, and it was very appropriate. So make sure you plan accordingly, and always make sure that you include space and time for the workshop at the beginning of your LARP. And if possible, some debrief space as well, but that's kind of a topic for another time. If you'd like to personalize or customize these kinds of workshops for your particular game, go ahead and reach out to me, facebook.com/Larp Mentor. My name is Tara, and I'm happy to help you do that. I have a lot of experience coaching people through the LARPing process, and also I've written several different types of LARPs and worked on several different types, and I've been to a lot. I've been to Baffer LARPs. I've been to, the Nordic-inspired LARPs, as we used to call them. So reach out to me, and we'll work on some stuff. If you're looking for some more specific and advanced stuff about how to do these workshops, I definitely recommend you check out anything written by Erica Skurpran or Maury Brown. They're pretty much like local to me-ish experts on this topic, and I've learned a lot from how they run things and also how they adapt things according to game, genre, location. Super great resources there. So definitely look them up. And again, if you want to personalize any of this content to your particular LARP, reach out to me, facebook.com/LARP Mentor. Thank you.